into a criminal enterprise. Here's John Hockenberry.
Forrest, we've all heard the question, where do babies come from? Little kids ask such questions. The people who dealt with Leslie Thacker, hundreds of childless couples who wanted a baby more than anything else in the world, those people didn't ask. For them, a better question might have been, where do baby sellers come from? You might say 77-year-old Leslie Thacker was allowed to design and build families in the state of Texas for nearly 2 decades. For raw material, hundreds of childless couples who dreamed of parenthood and were willing to pay virtually anything to get a baby. Her philosophy, poor children, whenever possible, belong in wealthy homes. What is it you hope to be able to do?
To get these children into good homes, off of welfare, off of food stamps, off of charity hospitals and free clinics, and to the mainstream, so that they could be good citizens, contribute to the community.
I think she has sort of a Mother Teresa complex. If you listen to her talk, she really believes that she's done all these wonderful things.
Thacker found hundreds of babies to place, babies in many cases from the most desperate of circumstances. Wealthy couples wanted a chance, poor kids needed a chance. Who asked questions? No one, for 14 years. And during that time, Thacker was able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is this how things are supposed to work in Texas? Tom and Sandy Dodds thought so. It was their second marriage. They were unable to have children of their own. They had been turned away by other agencies, told they were too old to adopt. Then the Dodds found Leslie Thacker.
So you were trusting.
I was very trusting.
Very trusting.
Yes.
Why?
Because I was hearing that it wouldn't take 2 or 3 years on a waiting list. That we were, in her opinion, a suitable couple to raise a child, that she could place a child with us. So it was what I wanted to hear.
Leslie Thacker found 4-year-old Mirabelle for the Dodds. She charged them $11,000. Mirabelle fit in well in the Dodds suburban home, where Sandy Dodds took good care of her.
I used to go to the beach every day, and I used to have barbecue every day, and I used to go swimming every day. I used to do everything I wanted to do.
It seemed like a perfect example of Leslie Thacker's doctrine at work. What Thacker didn't tell the Dodds and what they didn't ask was where the little girl came from. Mirabelle's mother, Adamina de Jesus, was a prostitute and a long-time drug abuser, one of scores of women who worked the streets of Galveston, Texas. Thacker was well known to the women of Galveston's red light district.
This Leslie Thacker, any woman that would say was pregnant, if I would have had a little weight on me and said I was pregnant, she would have been buying me off for my baby.
When asked, Leslie Thacker often claimed her birth mothers were college girls in trouble. But the truth was often here on the streets and here at the local jail.
There apparently was a source in the Galveston County Jail. Whenever a pregnant woman is brought to jail, this woman would call Miss Thacker and say, well, got another one. Come on down and talk to her.
Thacker's activities came to the attention of state officials who began an intensive investigation into Thacker's operation. Ann Hartley is an assistant attorney general of Texas. What was the Galveston jail to Leslie Thacker's operation?
A source of birth mothers.
A factory.
You said it.
So what? If there's ever anybody who needs help, it's a girl who is pregnant in jail. If anybody needs help, they need help. And if she's a prostitute, well, for heaven's sake, the child isn't a prostitute, so let's get them out and get them somewhere where they got a chance and they won't be a prostitute or a pimp.
It sounds like a good idea, but what Leslie Thacker claimed and what she actually did were often very different. Officials had long suspected Thacker was not simply recruiting women in prison, but that she was buying babies out of a steady pool of unwanted children supplied by felons and drug abusers.
I was strung out on heroin, and I was whoring on the street. And I don't remember how I met Leslie right now.
Carolina is a case in point. She told her social worker that Thacker gave her money in return for her children. The adoptive parents were never told about her history, according to social worker Jane Weatherford.
The prospective adoptive parents were not told that the mother had a 12-year history of heroin addiction, nor that she was alcoholic.
Should adoptive parents know about that sort of thing?
If I know it, I'd be glad to tell them. I'm not required to tell them. Now, we're not able to do an FBI investigation, and we're dependent a lot on what we're told, which in some instances may be false.
But authorities say Thacker often knew more than she revealed to adoptive parents, that Thacker often ignored or concealed crucial information about drugs, about the health of the mothers, as well as the medical condition of adoptive babies at birth.
She told the prospective parents that this child came from a nice, upstanding background, when in fact, this was not so. Unfortunately, the medical problems and the addictive problems will become apparent to the adoptive parents as time goes on.
We weren't given any documents or any medical background on her, so we didn't know anything.
And so Tom and Sandy Dodds discovered things about Mirabelle's past that Leslie Thacker never told them.
All those things that we were very cautious
that we
and
didn't want to be involved with was right there in our lap.
with that adorable young girl.
We found out that she was a cocaine baby, and not that that affected anything that we knew of at that point, but those were the concerns that we had expressed to Leslie that we didn't want to be involved with. And that's what we had.
And that wasn't all the Dodds found out about Mirabelle. Her biological mother, Adamina de Jesus, was 29, in jail, and pregnant with twins when she first met Thacker. She had been in and out of prison a dozen different times.
What I did it for a reason. I did it not only for me, but for my kids.
Leslie Thacker told Adamina de Jesus that she had a chance to help her kids, to be a good mom, for one. Authorities say Thacker also paid Adamina $12,500 for her newborn twins, her 2-year-old son Isaac, her 6-year-old daughter Adamina, and 4-year-old Mirabelle. Leslie Thacker denies the charges.
Did you ever buy a baby?
I surely haven't. I don't ever intend to. Not ever do I intend to.
Have you
I
ever?
never have.
Never.
Never.
She did give Adamina de Jesus money, lots of money. Thacker always claimed that she paid only the living expenses of her birth mothers. But Adamina was in jail. She had no living expenses. So what was that money for? This videotape was taken when a team of investigators seized Thacker's business records to find out. It was Kim Ogg of the District Attorney's Office in Houston who found out just what Thacker was doing.
Those lump sum payments that Leslie Thacker made could not have been and were not by proof beyond a reasonable doubt for anything other than the sale of those children.
It was the kind of transaction that state officials saw repeated over and over in Thacker's business records during their year-long investigation.
The state of Texas does not require that an adoption agency be owned and run by kind-hearted people who care about children. It does require that you cannot buy and sell babies. I thought that something was wrong with her adoption agency when I saw large checks going to women right about the time those women gave her their babies.
In the view of Texas investigators, Leslie Thacker had been trafficking in babies for years. Her system worked for so long because in Galveston, Texas, the system worked for Leslie Thacker. First, she found a friendly judge in Andrew Baker.
Out of 83 adoptions, 81 of them went through Judge Baker's court. She went to that court every time, whether the case originally fell there or not. She would get it transferred in.
There was such a small majority of the cases filed in my court. I had 3,000-4,000 a year.
Thacker took advantage of the overwhelmed family court system. Judge Baker approved hundreds of Thacker's documents. He never turned down a Thacker adoption and never asked Leslie Thacker where the babies came from. He says that's not his job.
You certainly don't have time to go out and investigate cases yourself.
But in the 83 or so cases from Leslie Thacker that came across your desk, there was indication that drug use was prevalent. There was indication that some of the women, at least, were in jail, and that the adoptive parents
Nothing
didn't
in the
know
report showed they were in jail.
But never once was there a question asked.
No, you just don't ask questions.
You've got a baby selling operation in the state of...
I think the key is the judge. You always have too few babies. You always have people wanting a baby desperately willing to pay. What you don't have all over the place is judges who will rubber stamp it.
It was Judge Andrew Baker who granted custody of Adamina DeJesus' children to Leslie Thacker. His ruling meant that the lives of 2 young children were thrown into chaos. With a judge in her corner, Leslie Thacker would call the shots for Mirabel, get the court to take her from the woman she called her mommy, Luisa Martinez. She'd been caring for Isaac and Mirabel since birth when Adamina DeJesus left the children with her.
When I was at the courthouse, and I was telling me, doesn't anybody care what's happening? What's going on? I want my kids, what's going on? That's all I kept saying. Doesn't anybody care? Because it seemed like it was just all in Thacker's favor, just boom, boom,
It was Thacker's take from the poor, give to the rich philosophy at work. She found a home for Mirabel with Tom and Sandy Dodds, an upper-middle-class couple near Houston. Mirabel was taken from Luisa Martinez, who lived in a housing project in the poor section of Galveston.
No love between Louisa and Mirabel and Isaac?
You can't eat it, you can't wear it, you can't get an education on love alone. This isn't a proper home. I'm saying that the children need to be brought out and put into the mainstream where they have an opportunity to be good citizens and not be left that way, for everybody to be taxed the rest of their lives for this.
So you're saving the kids?
The kids is what I'm here for, yes.
And you're saving society?
That's right.
For years, the state had amassed a file of complaints against her, but never seriously tried to shut down Thacker's business. Thacker would be in business today if she hadn't crossed Luisa Martinez. The last thing Thacker expected was that a poor woman would fight in court to keep a child that was not biologically hers. Luisa Martinez went to court to get Mirabel and Isaac back, and that was the beginning of the end for Leslie Thacker. Last year, Leslie Thacker was convicted of buying Adamina DeJesus 5 children. A Houston court gave her 10 years probation and a $10,000 fine, which is less than the fee she charged the Dodds for Mirabel alone. While Thacker got off with probation, her co-defendant, Adamina DeJesus, got prison time for selling her children. 60 years. But she still insists she was just thinking of her kids.
You're doing a hard time as a baby seller.
Yes.
That's what they say to you. That's what they call you. That's not taking a fall.
If this is the price I have to pay for a happy life for my children, I'll pay it.
In the end, Luisa Martinez got Mirabel and Isaac back. Perhaps more than anyone else, she has Tom and Sandy Dodds to thank for that. They wanted to keep Mirabel, even after they found out all about her history, the drugs, and everything else. But after 3 months with the little girl, the Dodds came to see that despite Leslie Thacker's theories, Mirabel belonged with the woman who raised her. As much as it hurt, they made the agonizing decision to give her back to Luisa.
She took her to Australia, and the mother that she had been raised by, and walked home, walked out. She was comfortable. She was happy being where she wanted to be.
If one of Miss Phillips people, I want to go to bed. I do believe that. And I thank them a lot for that because they were hurt. I feel so sorry for them because they were hurt too.
Leslie Thacker is now a convicted felon. To her, the conviction is an inconvenience. She says the state is harassing her and she expects to be back in business. Thacker says she can still make parents' dreams come true.
As far as the placements that I made, no, I wouldn't have changed a one. Not a one. And I just only wish that I could have placed the other 3 children of Adamina as she asked me to do and put them in a good home. I could have done it. I still can do it.
Last week, Leslie Thacker lost an appeal in civil court to have her license reinstated. She continues to fight her criminal convictions. But as far as the state of Texas is concerned, she is permanently out of the baby business. Tom and Sandy Dodd say they are giving up on adoption. And Luisa Martinez is in the process of formally adopting.